he had a big chin, and to this day, people of a certain generation would call it hilling, or I always call him, and they'd stroke their chin. If somebody was exaggerating.
I'm not sure I believe you on this one, John.
So
I'm Jimmy Hilling as we speak.
there you go.
Yes.
I mean, had a fantastic face for television. I mean, you just couldn't take your eyes off him. So he was, and as a younger player, he came through at Fulham. Very good player, apparently. Scored a record amount of goals, scored 5 away goals for Fulham at Doncaster. Was part of a Fulham team that got promoted to the First Division. As Mark just said, great friends with Johnny Haynes, who was Fulham's most famous player. But he was of a generation where he was born, he had to do national service.
Yep.
So we went into the Royal Service Corps, which, to roughly explain what that is in sort of military history terms, was kind of like the men looked after the wagons, the baggage train, the organisers.
I think there were a lot of clipboards. A lot.
Perfect for Jimmy.
Yeah, exactly.
You can imagine him, can't you?
Don't hand me that.
Yes.
I will administer this. I will administer the living hell out of this
Let me
situation.
organise everything you need to do.
I'm all over that. Yeah.
A super important part of any army, in military history, they talk about organisation is everything,
Yes.
Getting the troops fed, getting them to places, transport. Jimmy's a big part of that. And if you Google to this day Jimmy Hill and the Royal Service Corps, such a famous part of the, like I said, of the military, he's one of their most notable ex-servicemen, which tells you everything about him. So this is a man, and you see little clips, Mark, I see little videos of him and stuff, and he says, he sounds like somebody that we grew up listening to in the mid part of that century. I was very proud of those pink countries of the British Empire, an empire that stretched a quarter of the way across the world. It's hard to explain to a new generation now that's grown up in very different times how proud people were of the British Empire, the empire where the sun never set. That we kind of there was an upstanding kind of, certainly English gentleman that kind of told the world how to behave in a certain way.
Totally
and boy, did Jimmy have
exactly.
that.